Biography of Martin Luther. Martin Luther, 1483 to 1546, was born in Germany. As a young adult, he was trained for a theological career within the Roman Catholic Church. After being caught in a terrifying thunderstorm, Luther vowed to God to become a monk. During his study of the Bible, he plunged into a period of depression and despair over his sins. However, everything changed for Luther when he saw in the Scriptures the doctrine of justification by faith. Reading, "The righteous shall live by faith," Luther was freed from his paralyzing guilt and fear of judgment. "Here I felt that I was altogether born again," he later wrote, "and had entered paradise itself through open gates." The brilliant Luther committed himself to purifying the medieval church. On October 31st, 1517, Luther wrote a letter containing 95 theses or arguments against various beliefs and practices of the Roman Church. Luther insisted that church officials must recover the gospel of grace against ritualistic requirements. The publication of this letter led to the start of the Protestant Reformation, one of the most significant religious movements in world history. Luther's stand for the biblical gospel became a crucial turning point in the story of Western Christianity. As the elements of the core of his evangelical theology were coming together, Luther issued a number of treatises in the years 1519 and 1520. Although Luther did not state this, it is likely that he planned to complete the series of treatises calling for reform that he was publishing in those years, with a treatise such as The Freedom of a Christian. In June 1520, his On Good Works set about the reconstruction of the pious life with a treatment of the 10 Commandments that anchored the Christian life in the trust in Christ. That life, he believed, grows out of the first commandment, and he would later paraphrase it in his small catechism. We should fear, love, and trust in God above all things. On Good Works was followed by 2 works. In the first of these, his Open Letter to the German Nobility, August 1520, he deconstructed many ritual practices of medieval piety. Then he critiqued the theological system of dependence on ritual and hierarchy in his Prelude on the Babylonian Captivity of the Church, October 1520. That prelude probably pointed to a constructive proposal for Christian life, and that is what he formulated in his The Freedom of a Christian, which appeared the next month. He used its Latin version as a plea for understanding to Pope Leo X in the midst of the papal court's preparation of his excommunication. The German is cast in homiletical form, the Latin takes a formal academic form. Luther was a prolific writer, authoring hundreds of books, treatises, biblical commentaries, sermons, hymns, and other material. His works have endured for over 500 years, and many of them are still read widely throughout the Christian world. Throughout his life, Luther emphasized the priesthood of every believer and the sufficiency of Christ's atoning death on the cross to forgive sin and make a person righteous before God. Luther's legacy exists today not only through his timeless writings, but also through the hundreds of thousands of Protestant churches throughout the last 5 centuries. The text before you is a new translation of the German included and edited in D. Martin Luther's Werke. All content in brackets and footnotes are supplied by the translator. For further comment on the Latin text of the treatise that Luther developed at the same time to his formulating the German text, see Robert Kolb, Luther's Treatise on Christian Freedom and its Legacy.